Okay, hi everybody. This week we are going to be looking at determining organizational patterns in textbooks. And much like our main idea work, there are strategies behind it that I really want to teach you. So I've got a slideshow that we are going to be going through today. Again, you'll have an assignment to go with it, and you'll also do an ed puzzle to go through this slideshow. So first of all, textbook authors. There are 6 different organizational patterns of expository or factual paragraphs. And so we're going to be looking at those 6 different patterns. We are going to be identifying transitions or signal words to help you determine the organizational pattern. And then we're going to use organizational patterns to help you determine those important details. All of the stuff that we've been doing last week with main ideas and this week with organizational patterns is really concentrated, thoughtful effort at improving your reading comprehension and your understanding, especially as your textbooks get harder and harder. I want you to be prepared with all of the tools that you need to be able to read these difficult passages and textbooks with ease and just better. So anyway, so we are going to overview quickly the different organizational patterns. First of all, authors will use an example or a list, comparison or contrast, cause and effect, definition, steps or time order, and classification. So what we'll be doing for this is to pick apart these 6 different ways of organizing textbook paragraphs. Also, we are going to be looking at signal words or transitions that will help you decide the organizational patterns because there are clues. The first one is an example or list. So obviously, the author is using examples to clarify their point. If more than one example is included, the examples are not placed in any specific order. Now, I say if they include an example like a list, that list doesn't have to be in any specific order. And that actually comes into play later on in the slideshow here. That those examples can be moved around within the paragraph and it doesn't change the meaning. Transitions, signal words. We are looking for things like, for example, for instance, to illustrate this point, to be specific, such as, and specifically. So let's try this. There is one transition example that is marked with an underline and one that's marked by an asterisk. So I'm going to quickly read through this. I've chosen paragraphs actually that are from textbooks that are actually, have topics in them that you need to know some things about. So all of you are either going to be or are already employees. And so these are some interesting things that you need to know. So we start with increases in protected employees and discrimination lawsuits have elevated the importance of human resource managers in the hiring process. To prevent violations, human resource personnel must train managers involved in interviewing to make them knowledgeable about employment law. Here's our first clue. For example, the law prohibits asking an applicant any questions relating to marital status, number of children, race, nationality, religion, or age. These are all true. If you are in an interview and they ask you questions like that later on, it is not the company for you. We continue with the paragraph. Interviewers also may not ask questions about applicants' criminal records, mental illness histories, or alcohol-related problems. In addition, human resource managers can help organizations establish systems to promote fair employment practices. The asterisk, Home Depot was sued by a woman. So this is another keyword for an example. If you see the name of something or the name of a company or the name of whatever the topic of the paragraph is, by and large, they're going to give you some sort of an example after that. And then this was all about a woman who claimed that they are more often unfairly steered toward lower paying jobs than were the males with similar qualifications. And so Home Depot had to fix that, and they helped make managers make better hiring decisions. So that is all about examples. Secondly, now we're going to look at how to determine the main idea and organizational pattern. So taking that paragraph, you ask yourself those two questions. What is the author trying to tell me? Or what is the topic? Hiring practices. And then what is the author trying to tell me? There's a main idea sentence. Increases in protected employees and discrimination lawsuits have elevated the importance of human resource managers in the hiring process. So there's our main idea sentence. And then our important details. The author provides examples of questions that interviewers may not ask. Secondly, the author continues by stating that human resource managers can also assist in establishing fair employment practices, and then they give an example. So that whole thing right here is just the paragraph that we read all picked apart. Continuing on. The second one is comparison and contrast. In a contrast paragraph, the author is using opposing ideas. The transitions that you're going to see are but, however, on the contrary, on the other hand, in contrast, otherwise, rather, while, and yet. So let's look at the next one, a comparison paragraph. The author shows how things are similar between the two topics. Transitions or signal words. All of the transitions found in the contrast paragraphs, plus the following. Similarly, likewise, by the same token, by comparison. So those are words you're going to look for. So let's look at a paragraph. Some psychodynamic therapists and theorists believe that people can temporarily forget about an especially traumatic event. More specifically, they argue that traumatized individuals may repress these memories. In contrast, cognitive psychology researchers are more likely to argue that the memories are not really repressed, and some people may even create false memories for events that did not really occur. So here is the difference in contrast between psychodynamic therapists and cognitive psychology researchers. Okay? Main ideas: psychodynamic therapists and cognitive psychologists have different views on what happens to memories of traumatic events. The details: psychodynamic therapists believe this, cognitive psychologists believe this. Okay? Next one, cause and effect. Cause and effect paragraphs typically contain either one cause and several effects, or one effect and several causes. And an effect is the direct result of the causes. So you're looking for transition or signal words like because, this happens because this, or thus, or consequently, as a result, hence, then, therefore. All of these words kind of help you come to a conclusion, like an effect. Okay? His finger was burned because he touched the hot stove. Okay? So we're looking at this paragraph from a social studies textbook. It's, from The Battle of Bull Run is the topic, and the author is stating the effects of the battle. So, just a tidbit: seldom do authors mix causes and effects in one paragraph. They're usually in two paragraphs. So, The military picnic at Bull Run, though not decisive militarily, bore significant psychological and political consequences, many of them inconsistent and contradictory. Victory was worse than defeat for the South because it inflated an already dangerous overconfidence. Many of the Southern soldiers promptly deserted, some boastfully, to display their trophies. Others feeling that the war was now surely over. So they won the military picnic at Bull Run. It was a decisive battle. For them, it was won, but there were consequences, and here's what they were. So a cause and effect. So we continue. Southern enlistments fell off sharply, and preparations for a prolonged conflict slackened. Defeat was better than victory for the Union because it rid Northern soldiers of all illusions of a one-punch war and caused the Northerners to buckle down to the staggering task at hand. It also set the stage for a war that would be waged not merely for the cause of uniting the states, but also eventually for the anti-slavery abolitionist idea of emancipation. So again, we see the word because. We see the word consequences. We see because. So those are our signal words. Picking it apart. What's the main idea? The first sentence. The battle at Bull Run bore significant psychological and political consequences, many of them inconsistent and contradictory. And then the details were the Southern soldiers became too confident and therefore complacent. It also helped the North realize that the war wouldn't be easy, and it caused them to buckle down, and therefore it set the stage for the Civil War and for emancipation of slaves. So it was an important battle, and there were lots of causes and effects behind it. Next one is the definition, organizational pattern of definition. This is where the author defines an important term for the reader or an important event. Examples might be given, but the main purpose of the paragraph is to define. You're looking for in other words, or defined, or the vocabulary term is, or vocabulary terms are, and then the word means. Any of those are good signal words. Here's another job-related paragraph. Flex time is a scheduling system that allows employees to set their own work hours within constraints specified by the firm. An employer may require employees to be at work between the core hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. rather than the regular workday hours of 9 to 5. Outside the core hours, employees can choose when to start and end their workdays, opting either to arrive at work early, say 7 a.m., and leave early, or to arrive later and work later than the standard day. Flex time works well in jobs where employees can work relatively independently, but not so well when they must work together in teams, such as in manufacturing or when they must provide direct customer services. Flex time is common in European countries, but is gaining popularity in the United States. So again, flex time is. There you go. This is flex time, and all of these details help you to determine what exactly flex time is. Okay? Next, time order. These can be used for two purposes. One, when the author wants to explain the steps necessary for a particular process, or that the order of details is important. If you remember at the very beginning of this, I said during the examples paragraph that it didn't matter what order things were in. In time order, it does matter. And that's kind of the difference between the two of them. You're talking, chronological order. And so the detail order is important. Transitions seem obvious. First, second, then, next, finally, now, before, after, while, during. Any of those is a signal that you've got a paragraph with time order in it. And here's our paragraph. Sorry about that. Seeley's general adaptation syndrome, which describes the body's responses to a stressor, whether threatening or exhilarating, consists of 3 distinct stages. Okay, these happen in order. First this occurs, then. So the first one is alarm. When a stressor first occurs, the body responds with changes that temporarily lower resistance. Levels of certain hormones may rise, blood pressure may increase. The body quickly makes internal adjustments to cope with the stressor and return to normal activity. 2. Resistance. If the stressor continues, the body mobilizes its internal resources to try to sustain homeostasis or balance. For example, if a loved one is seriously hurt in an accident, we initially respond intensely and feel great anxiety. During the subsequent stressful period of recuperation, we struggle to carry on as normally as possible, but this requires considerable effort. 3. The third stage is exhaustion. If the stress continues long enough, we cannot keep up our normal functioning. Even a small amount of additional stress at this point can cause a breakdown. All right, so looking at the main idea, this is the stages in the general adaptation syndrome. First stage, alarm. Second, resistance. And third, exhaustion. And they have to be in that order. You don't do exhaustion before you do alarm. You understand. And then the last one is classification. This divides the whole into parts or categories. And there's usually 3 or more categories that are used. The transition and signal words are the same as those for other organizational patterns, but categories may be used to show similarities or differences or processes or give examples. But they are dividing a whole into parts or categories. Oh, look at my typo there. Blah. Oh, well. There. So, transition words. We're going to see classify, categorize, sort, group, kinds of, levels, style, or type. Many employers balance rewarding workers with maintaining profits by linking more of their pay to superior employee performance. They try to motivate employees to excel by offering some type of incentive compensation in addition to salaries or wages. Most implement several types of incentive compensation programs. Profit sharing, which awards bonuses based on company profits. Gain sharing, which awards bonuses based on surpassing performance goals. Lump sum bonuses, which award one-time cash payments based on performance. Pay for knowledge, which distributes wage or salary increases as employees learn new job tasks. So these are all ways that you might be paid in the future, by the way. So here are our main idea and important details. 4 types of incentive compensation is the main idea, and here they are. Okay, so you'll notice that they're classifying and they're categorizing. And as with the main ideas, the authors don't always stay with one particular organizational pattern. When the main idea changes, often the organizational pattern changes with it. So if you're reading a chunk about, causes of World War I, maybe each paragraph is going to have its own organizational pattern, and you just have to be ready and knowledgeable of those transition and signal words to help you out. That is it.